Hello, everyone. We had Jackson Calame on here today with First Class Business. Excited to have him and learn a bit about what he does and his journey to get there. As always, we'll go into some of his visions for the future, all the advice he's got for entrepreneurs. He works with entrepreneurs, so he is the man to go to for advice. And then last but not least, he'll ask me a question and we'll see what he gets to. Jackson, take it away. Tell us a bit about your business.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Megan. Well, as Megan said, my name's Jackson. I am not here to give any advice whatsoever, though. I am here to inspire if I can. If you feel intrigued, attracted, and inspired with what I do, then perhaps it opens up new territories for you to scale, grow, and help other people. We live in a business world where invitations and offers and selling people stuff is just rampant, and it's hurting the ability to build healthy relationships. So, if anything, I hope to inspire some of you to realize that great scale comes from building great relationships and allowing those relationships to then represent what you do well. And if I can provide that to somebody awesome, you mentioned vision, Megan. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but our podcast is Vision Pros Live. We love interviewing visionary leaders. And so if you are a visionary leader, come be a guest on our show. And if you like that experience, then we might blossom into a further relationship from there.
And tell us a bit more about your exact business. I know we're not doing offers, but tell us a bit more about what you do with
For
your
sure.
business.
So our tagline is pretty silly. It's, "Hey, Batman, let us be your Alfred." Right. So we're about to come out with a new image with Batman in the kitchen with an apron on, answering the phone, trying to cook dinner, bat signals on in the background. That's most of you as entrepreneurs. Most of you are trying to do it all. I have a very healthy, productive team of, I think we're a little bit more than 15 now. I just got back from Podfest, Megan, and to get back to the team and talk to them in Spanish about what we were doing, there was 3 new team members that they hired while I was gone. At that event, and getting them integrated and helping them realize they're in a place where they are loved, where we exercise patience and persistence, where we really focus on, are these individuals consistent and are they reliable? When we build around that type of who, the how and the what becomes easy to implement. I don't have to worry about it because we're looking at them and saying, hey, what do you want to build? What is it that you want to do to contribute to this company? We're not worried about the resume. We're not worried about the existing skill set. We want them to be just as inspired as everybody else who wants to work with us. So Mr. Fox gets a little bit left out when we say, let us be your Alfred. Alfred runs the home and makes sure Batman's home life is going well and that he's centered and well. Mr. Fox runs the billion-dollar enterprise. But both of those icons represent massive teams that are delegated to, right? You don't try to do this as a one-man show or one-man band. And at least I don't. I was never successful as a solopreneur, as most of the greats that I've heard of. They called solopreneurs wantrepreneur. I was a wantrepreneur. I couldn't win without a team.
That makes total sense. So you essentially give businesses the team to thrive.
That's right.
Pretty amazing. And I mean, we've heard a little bit about your journey. You were a solopreneur. That's a hard word. And then you're like, this is not my happy place. Let's branch out. What was kind of your journey and struggle in that process?
Oh, I think my journey and struggle was very similar to most people's, just a haphazard conundrum of all sorts of mistakes, some of them because of my own mischievous nature, right? As an individual, a human trying to figure life out, whether it was having a 0.33 GPA, right? You have to work hard at not going to school to get that low of a grade, or going on a mission to Uruguay for 2 years. I mean, that opened my eyes to different opportunities. Coming back from that and getting told I would never get into the business school, even though that's where I thought I was supposed to go, to being twice divorced, being a single father of 4, trying to learn how do you, somebody who's been a stay-at-home dad since 2010, always been there for my kids, and then having that lifestyle, I don't want to say ripped away from me, because we all make mistakes along the path. It wasn't my wife's fault. The second marriage, Cinderella story, stepmom and kids issues. I didn't realize how difficult that was going to be. She didn't either. So there are challenges that we all go through. My story is not unique in that regard, and that all of you have your own challenges and obstacles. But along that rocky road and path, I realized, one, I wasn't a very great leader. I was a good leader sometimes. In some ways, I wasn't. I was a bad leader. I wasn't a great listener. I didn't know how to be there for people and make space for other people's visions. And then two, I wasn't being my best self. I was a little bit worried about, am I better than the other people around me? And it wasn't until I started to focus on being the best leader and communicator I could, and then being my best self and being happy with that, loving myself, that new territories, new paths started to come forward. And what that's led to is a team that, I mean, honestly, Megan, when I come to work, it feels like my birthday every day. It's like, oh my gosh, all these people showed up to help me build my vision. And my job is to return the honor and make sure that everybody who works with me, that we're focused on helping them get where they want to go and what they can get. And if we focus on those wants rather than the needs, and those wants are healthy, we can build amazing things.
That sounds pretty amazing. And the journey that you took, like those are big things to say, that you completely shifted your mentality and you completely shifted your outlook. Were there guides? Were there people that helped you get to those places? What was that journey like?
I absolutely love that you asked that. It's probably the most intuitive question you could have asked me for your audience, because most of us have such massive blind spots. The scariest thing that I hear from leaders is when they say, I already have a coach. There is no statement in business that is more limiting belief than that statement. And it usually comes from an oppressive coach who feels like they have to be your only guide, right? You use the word guides. I love that. And Megan, you're a coach. I'm a coach. Everybody in this world is a coach. That's just a title. It's a role. It's not a being of who somebody is. And so there's so many nasty unknown realities and subconscious realities about the coaching world that hurts entrepreneurs. This man behind me on the wall, that's LeBron James. How many coaches does he have? On the bench alone, he's got 4 or 5, but then he's got personal trainers, he's got health coaches, he's got doctors and therapists ready to go. He's probably got coaches for his family and for his, they didn't get to become that type of a family without all sorts of guidance. He's got financial advisors, he's got business partners, he's got people who run his operations. He's got over 100 people in his life who mentor, coach, protect him, and make sure that he stays on point according to where he wants to go. Now, everybody at that level has tons of influence and people guiding them. Some of them step on the heads, hearts, and shoulders of the people who are guiding them. Others uplift and bring them with them and treat them as equals. My mindset and idea is I want to have as many advisors, mentors, people to protect me and work with me as possible who are around me as equals. And if I do that, you have the compound effect. 1 plus 1 equals 11. But we add one more person to that. 1 plus 1 plus 1, that's 111. As long as you keep adding great people who are adding to and not taking away from, you're going to continue to experience the value of the compound effect.
That makes complete sense. And also friends wise, yes, in business, but that world around friends keeps coming back to me the past little while, of surround yourself with the people you want to be like. Keep bringing in people that inspire you every day and really light you up and bring something to your life. And
That's correct.
yeah,
I stopped calling some friends about a decade ago, right? So I had these friends that they are friends, they're long-term friends. But I noticed a big shift when I stopped calling them and when I stopped going to whatever they were doing and started to focus on what I meant to do in my life. They disappeared. They didn't show up. They weren't there. If I was willing to go and be part of whatever thing they were doing that was important for them, but a distraction from my purpose, then they were there. And some of those friends, some of the very, very close ones, eventually accused me of only having friends that were on my payroll. And that hurts when somebody is close to you, right? And they can push your buttons like that. Or only having friends of people that were willing to pay me as well. And I took that to heart for a little while and was like, man, that's so unfair. That's so toxic. Like, oh, maybe that's true. The imposter syndrome can really, really start to take control. But all of you listening in, my friendship to you is, oh no, we're talking about an old friend who has nothing to do with my purpose, who does not care about what my purpose are. They don't care what my vision is. They're not helping me move my mountains. They didn't care. In fact, sometimes they're laughing about the mountains I'm trying to move and saying, oh, there he goes again doing that. I was able to let all of that go a long time ago and realize that, what? It is so awesome to find people who are willing to help you build, that are willing to buy shovels with you, that are willing to drive your tractors to move those mountains, the people who are willing to get into your game and help you do the things that you are meant to do in life, those are your true friends.
Yep. I really hear that. And that actually leads in beautifully to what are your mountains? Where are you going? What's your vision with what you're creating?
Love that. So, with First Class Business, our rally cry is to create a full appreciation for family and personal well being within the workplace. Too many companies have it as an afterthought. They say it's first, right? But they say it's first, but make sure you get that work done before you go home. Wait, I thought the family was first. Oh, make sure okay, yeah, you can have the extra day off, but you're going to have to make up for that when you come back, and bring that extra stress home to your kiddos. All right. No, that's not family first, right? That's not well being first and within the workplace, right? Means if my kids happen to come in bursting through this door while I'm on a podcast, I'm going to greet them with love and excitement, and I'm going to introduce them to the audience. Like that ability. I see so many entrepreneurs or professionals who their kids walk in, and you know what happens to their eyes? They go like this. Yeah, let me introduce there's this like immediate instinct of this is not acceptable. This is not okay. How unprofessional of me. What? No, the professionals at the utmost level, they make room for family and friends and dogs and cats and whatever else is out. They understand that they're not moved by something so simple and so inconsequential. Right? We're in a position where life is controlling us if we are not putting ourselves in a position to saying, I want to make space. I want to be okay with the realities of what happened in my life. And anybody who can't do that, doesn't need to be within our culture at First Class Business. And we hope to inspire other corporations and other companies to start making a whole lot more space for the type of balance and well-being that people need in this world. Then with Vision Pros, it's to honor all visionaries out there, all people, to start to share their inner vision, to wake up and be willing to dream and say, this is what I want to accomplish. But that is hard to do if you do not have a safe place to be able to share that. I want to become a best-selling author. Next thing you know, your mom or your cousin or your friend says, that'll never happen, or that'll be the day, and that hurts. That really tears people back away from visions. So being able to step into an environment where you can actually say what it is you want to do and pursue that with people who are going to cheer you on and potentially help you or at least want to see you succeed is big. But my biggest vision of all, Megan, is for my company Opportunities. And with Opportunities, right now, the biggest division is called Oportunidades de Trabajo para Latinos. That's Opportunities for Latinos. And that group is growing so fast and so well right now. We have a podcast for it. But our vision, our rally cry is to bridge the economic gap between North America, South America, and the rest of the world. And instead of having these unhealthy VA relationships that most of us have engaged in, guilty as charged, we call that virtual abuse. We do not contribute to the virtual abuse world. We train digital ambassadors to come in and learn about these tools they've never really had before and seen, and come work with a company who's going to absolutely appreciate how they work and what they do. Or we train them on the job skills necessary to be able to interview on their behalf, to be able to recognize what companies are healthy and are going to appreciate them, and where can they go get jobs outside of the network, the umbrella that is First Class Business.
That's pretty amazing.
I love it. It's fun.
Yeah, as someone who's like using a virtual assistant and learning about that world more and more, I love what you're doing and that you're really standing for people who are wanting the skills and don't know where to go and get them and wanting
I'd
this.
invite
Yeah,
I'd invite you to be careful with that word using.
which one?
The concept of using a virtual assistant. I'd meditate on that.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah. And for me, the journey of, I guess, working with him, it's been a journey there's the getting to know him and there's the getting to know his skills. And the agency that I work with, they train their virtual assistants and they really support them and really try to make it so that they have all of the necessary information to do kind of the job, I guess, is a way of putting it. But even as like personal development wise, getting to know my weaknesses in being a leader and getting to know how his failures per se are my failures, and how I didn't set him up right, and how I didn't, and owning that, and just being like, great, I messed up. Let's try this again. Let's like clean that slate. We'll record a video. Do you have any questions? And also, I do speak Spanish, but he's from the Philippines. So there's the whole language gap. And I know learning Spanish for me, people talking quickly was very difficult. So having to slow down and understand that it's not his first language. And I have the perspective of learning a language and not only knowing English. So it's been a learning curve and for
I
both.
remember that feeling.
Yeah.
I remember very well the feeling where I used to feel that I had to slow down, right? And instead of, right, that transition from I have the opportunity to slow down, right? Ange, my executive secretary from the Philippines, when she started working with us, she hardly spoke English, right? And so we went through 3 to 5 hours of training, often per day, her and I, on how those, she didn't know how sports worked. I'm a huge sports guy, right? She had never seen a superhero movie. We have a brand built around superheroes, right? There was lots of opportunities for me to lose the patient or think that this wasn't going to work out or think, oh man, I'm not going to be able to make this happen in a productive, profitable, or efficient way. She's by far the best executive, one of the top 5 executives I've ever worked with in my life. I'm right. She is just insanely genius and great. And I could have never unlocked that without doing what you're talking about, right? Taking that patience to value it. And trust me, my first couple of times hiring in entrepreneurship, as a solopreneur, my word choice was I used VAs, right? That's how I did it. And it wasn't until realizing the opportunity to improve the relationship skills and diving into that more and more. Every company on earth, those who are listening, those who are not, is going to claim, "Oh, well, I take great care of my people." All right, that's the self perception, right? I would like to say, well, no, I'm not going to claim that even at this stage, right? I'm going to make sure that I go talk to my team members about that. If you guys want to know how well I take care of my people, go ask my people when I'm not in the room. Don't listen to me. Go ask them.
No, I hear that. That is very loud and clear in my world. And just, yeah, even when stuff comes up and he goes all anxious about it, just being like, no, it's good. Like, we're going to work through this. And just really getting how who I am as a leader impacts everything that's going to come out of that. If he goes into something working on it anxious, it's never going to succeed. It's never going to be a good flow. It's never going to be the most efficient, anything like that. So it's been a fun learning curve of like vision and goals. It's kind of a goal I didn't know I had that has come out through this procedure.
See, and that's cool because I don't know how much your audience knows this about you, but you have superpowers in this territory that most of them do not. We got to talk the first time we met about your time in Central and South America or the countries over in that territory, that region of the world, and your impact with helping people there. Most people, they don't have that cultural opportunity. They don't understand what to do or how to do it and how to make space. You have extreme gifts related to that, so your audience is like incredibly lucky, and I hope they take the time to ask you about that and see what did you figure out, because you have certain formulas and experiences that could level them up in huge ways.
Yeah. No, I do understand that perspective. And it's interesting. I mean, in some ways, it's like traveling. You're going into a whole, I mean, business in some way. Like there's very comparables for the two. I'm going into a whole other world that I don't know the rules. I don't know all of these things. And it's like, as you're in that world, you get pieces and you learn bits more of the language and you learn what B2B or like CRM means. Like you get little pieces as you go. And it's been interesting getting that going into this new world. There are a lot of similarities in my traveling and going into a whole new country where there's different rules, there's different customs, there's different ways of doing things, and language on top of that. So I do understand how I can relate to my virtual assistant in a very different way and grasp what he's going through in a different way than a lot of other business owners potentially could. Thanks for mentioning that. I like that a lot. Advice wise for entrepreneurs who are looking to create something, because there's the business world. There's like, this is how you do business, this is the norm. And you've come at it from a very different way of doing business. What's your advice for entrepreneurs who are looking for business, but a collaborative way of doing it?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, I try to stay away from the general advice aspect because everybody's got a different story on where they're at. And that said, if there's one thing that I believe can guide entrepreneurs better than anything, some people call it meditation, some people call it prayer, right? And it doesn't matter what you call it, but the ability to realize you have your vision within yourself. And if you follow my vision, you're not meant to follow me, right? If you follow Megan's vision, you're not meant to follow Megan. If somebody says you should do this, run. Don't work with them. If somebody says this is what you have to do, again, run. Not bad counsel, in my opinion. So if you can take what your experiences have given you in life, care for and serve others, and you can leverage the power of what your heart and your mind are telling you, and learn to tap into that intuition and that secret sauce that exists within. It's a process of exercising. The first time you do a push-up, you might get half a push-up in, right? And then if you keep at it and keep going, you're consistent, you're reliable with that process, the process of meditation or prayer, you will get stronger and you will get more and more intuitive answers that will continue to take you where you may want to go. And that's my like humble opinion side of things. I cannot guarantee that will work for the listener, but I can tell you that's the biggest thing for me that helps me figure out how to run multiple companies, show up as a father of four, and figure out how do I coordinate schedules between all of that, conferences, 3 kids that live in one city, one child that lives in another city, and I live in a city in between. Like that's a lot of moving parts to have to try to dynamically move through with, ex relationships and ex friendships that don't necessarily see eye to eye and want to make your life easy, right? There's all sorts of challenges we all face. But when we stay centered on who we are, what we're meant to do, and we tap into the higher powers that exist, like at the end of the day, I have peace. If I have peace, everything else is icing on the cake. Everything else is a bonus. And I happen to be enjoying a lot of bonuses right now as well.
Like that. I like that a lot. And it goes in line a bit with another podcast I did recently. There's a program called Reset It, and it's interesting. It came up into my mind in this conversation of just coming back to, like, what is your purpose? What are you passionate about? What are you creating in this world? And for Reset It, just a small blurb, it's essentially clears all of the preconceived ideas of what it should look like. So Reset It is really just getting back into what's your vision? What are you creating in the world? And the Reset It factor is just clearing all of the other stuff. And yeah, there's so many ways it feels like to get into the exact same thing in meditation or Reset It or like other paths that I've learned along the way. It's all the same sort of conversation of keep clearing the blockages, keep clearing
Yep.
that which isn't serving you, keep
Do you mind
clearing.
if I share some spectrums? You just inspired me. Like the inspiration hits so hard. Like, okay, I got to do this. All right. So, there's the beginner and there's the advanced tracks, right? Both those exist. So on the beginner track, some options, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad, phenomenal book to dive into. There's a TED talk about how to not take things personally. Redhead looks like this on the YouTube thing. It's like that. Watch that, right? The beginners almost always get offended by things. And you can't move if you get hurt about little critiques. On the advanced side, right? If you have not read my mouse pad, if you've not read this, The Effective Executive, right? And then applied it. I know very few entrepreneurs who've ever read it, but Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, LeBron James, that's one of their top 5 favorite books, right? That's an important book to read. Tribal leadership at that level, right? Another phenomenal one, The E-Myth, probably the best book for entrepreneurs in the world to read. Listen to on Audible, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. That's again that advanced level. So there's these different levels, and as you talked about earlier, getting guides. Right, finding guides. But my challenge to as entrepreneurs, be very wise and careful about who's your guide, because the shepherds are few and far between. There are so many wolves in sheep's clothing that are out there. Obviously, they don't look like a wolf, they don't talk like a wolf, they don't act like a wolf, right? And so you don't, as a sheep, if that's still kind of where you're at, you almost can't even recognize the wolf. The other challenge in today's market with the ability of microphones and these shows is there's also a lot of sheep in shepherd's clothing. That's dangerous. If you're following somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing, but they're pretending to, what happens when the wolves come? You're all screwed. So being able to recognize who is a great leader, I'll give a couple of free resources. One is a 12-step checklist emotional intelligence guide to recognizing market leaders. I wouldn't work with a market leader if I didn't go through that 24-page document and really, really know those assessments of which side do they fall on? Are they toxic, or are they virtuous? Are they a hobbyist or are they a legacy builder? There's so many different things we can catch and check. And if I'm going to have my intentional best life, then I've got to be aware of what types of people I'm surrounding myself with. And I see that most people, they feel like they're judging. Well, we are, right? I judge the food that I'm going to put in my mouth and eat, right? I judge the water that I'm going to drink and whether it's filtered and safe or not. And yes, I do very much exercise righteous judgment as best I can with the individuals that I interact with and try to love them if I don't want to interact or don't want to build a life with them. But all of us filter. Some of us just aren't aware of the reality that we use that superpower. Use it well.
Use it well. And that's it. Like, we are hardwired to judge, assess, evaluate. Like, that is how we survive the world. And
Yes, it is.
that's it. Use it. Use it well. As a kind of wrap up, do you have a question for me today?
My question for you today: how are you going about stepping into your best self?
See, in life, it feels like I'm still working out business and that's still evolving. In life, I am very active in my community and I am active personally. I rock climb 2 times a week. I hike with dogs an hour every morning. I say yes to things that come into my space. I value my family and go riding with my niece at least 2 times a week with a horse that my sister bought. And it's like, great, now we have a horse in our space. Let's go. Let's go have fun and do that. Salsa dance once a week with an amazing community of people, and it's a circle dance and it's all cooperative, and there's a leader who calls out things. We all know the same moves, and it's salsa on steroids. It's like from Cuba and Fast and Furious, and it's called Casino Rueda. But on a personal level, yeah, it's really fun. On a personal level, I feel like I'm really good at putting things in my life that fulfill me and bring me joy, and really amazing people that are people who challenge me and are also up for adventures and going and exploring things that are new and kind of pushing our limits of what's possible. And it feels like in the business world, I'm gathering those people. I have them in my friend world and in the adventure world, but in the business world, yeah, I'm still growing that network. It's
Yeah.
newer.
That's amazing. What a blessed life.
I agree. I am very, very blessed to have the world that I have and yeah, just have so many opportunities that I can say yes to that people bring to me. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And how do people find you if they would like to get?
Sure. I am not hard to find on Google. My SEO game is no. I'm the only Jackson Calame in the world. I got the advantage over you, John Smith. Right. So you can do that. Vision Pros Live, as I said, come and share your vision with us on that show. If you're Latino, come and share your vision on oportunidadeslatinas.com. Right. Come and see and come in if you're inspired by it and you want to be part of that massive, awesome kingdom we're building, then like come and be a part of it. Come join me at the table of executives. We're always open to the abundance that exists with the right people coming in. And, I think all of you deserve to do your own due diligence regarding me and what's possible. The same way I'm going to do my own due diligence regarding you.
Well, thank you very much. And I look forward to chatting with you further. And thanks
Absolutely.
for making the Thriving Podcast a more awesome place.